Hello everyone, welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, personal development, helping people, and all the things it takes to help you live the highest quality, most fulfilling life, strong and joyous. So today I have as my guest Kim Melillo. Hi Kim.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Welcome to the Totally Well Show.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Oh, I'm so excited to get to know more about you. So Kim is a certified intuitive eating coach, and she has a website called inspiredwomenhealth.com, and all the ways that you can reach out to her, which is what I did and how I found her, is through that website, inspiredwomenhealth.com. And I am really eager to hear about intuitive eating. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the book you mentioned that you learned about it, the name of that book?
Yes, the name of the book is The Intuitive Eating Book, and it is by Elise Resch and Evelyn Tribole.
Okay.
And they developed the concept in 1995, kind of, made it, more mainstream, made more people aware of it.
Yeah.
So I trained with one of the dietitians that developed, that wrote the book.
All right.
Yes.
So what got you into this? What do you have? You have family? You live with you have children, husband?
Yep, I have one son. He's 7. I'm married. It'll be 10 years next week.
Yeah. Oh, congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've been also a nurse for the past 18 years.
Yeah.
And then last year I just became a health coach, and I actually came upon the book, the Intuitive Eating book, and I read it last year, and I thought to myself, it was like really the quickest book that I read in my whole life.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
quick because you were so interested.
Yes, exactly. And it just resonated with me so bad. I said, I have to spread the word. I have to help women. Redevelop their intuitive eater within.
So what kind of nursing?
I'm doing private duty care right now, but I've done, the whole hospital, the whole, nursing home and rehab and visiting nurse. So I've done it all.
Yeah. And you're still doing that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, full time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't it as well, I'm a nurse as well,
Yes.
as we talked about. It's nice when you can take a skill set that you already have and all that background, your knowledge of disease, your knowledge of healing and all the things that people need when they're going through challenges, and then you layer on this coaching piece of it, this whole coaching skill set. It's a completely different skill set, and then marry them.
Exactly. It's a completely different energy level, because with nursing you're dealing with sick people.
Yeah.
But now I'm transitioning over to help people live healthier lives to prevent them from getting sick.
Yeah.
So it's it's totally different.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come from another angle.
Exactly.
So when you read this with such hunger, this book, and you flew through it, is it because you had struggled with eating?
I have struggled ever since I was 11 years old with body image and thinking that I was just so fat, but in reality I was just hitting what is it called, when you grow, what is it? Adolescence and puberty. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just hitting puberty, when girls grow, they grow in different places.
Yeah.
And they gain weight. And I just thought, that was abnormal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, look like the other thin girls in my class.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was just so huge. And of course, I went on my first diet.
Yeah.
And
How old were you?
I was probably maybe anywhere from 11, probably around 11. Maybe 12 or 13, I started my first diet.
Yeah.
But I remember emotionally eating when I was 11. I remember the exact moment in my kitchen. I was bullied as a child.
Yeah.
And I remember the exact moment that I ate out of anxiety, out of depression. Because I was so I was bullied as a kid. And I remember just eating the sandwich, just to stuff down my feelings and my anxiety, and just, kind of to be more, at peace and in control. And so after my first diet, I've been dieting for 35 years, trying to change my body. And in reality, I just gained 100 pounds, lost 100 pounds, gained, and then every time I would try a diet, of course you can't stick to diets because,
They don't work.
Exactly. And the results of dieting, I mean, more than like 95% of people who diet will fail and will gain weight back.
Can you restate that statistic? Because I've heard that as well.
Yes, greater than 95% of people who diet will fail, and then I think maybe 3/4 will actually gain the weight back. And so even just dieting in itself causes health consequences. It can cause high cholesterol. It can cause weight gain. It can lower your metabolism. It can lower your self-esteem. It can decrease your quality of life. It can make you more obsessed about food, and unfortunately it can be a stepping stone to eating disorders. And so for me personally, when I would diet, I would stick to my diet for maybe 3 to 4 days. And of course, I couldn't stick to the diet. And so I would just beat myself up, just feel just terrible, like such a failure, that I couldn't stick to this restrictive diet. And then, of course, I would binge. I would eat crazy, hate myself, gain weight until my next diet on Monday. And that happened for like 35 years. It was terrible. Yeah. My self-esteem was terrible. My depression was awful. It's just, I would wake up every morning, having my life be dependent upon my weight and upon the number on the scale. Yeah. And when the scale didn't go the way that I wanted to, it was terrible. Yeah. So it's been a long time. Yeah.
A lot of pain there.
A lot of pain.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when I discovered the book, I said, oh my gosh, there's a better way. There's a better way that does not concentrate on you wanting to shrink your body and changing your body, because you are enough right now no matter what weight you are. So yeah.
I love that. I love that expression, you are enough. You are
yes.
more than enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if somebody had told me that I was beautiful as I was and my body was the way it's supposed to be, then I wouldn't have started my first diet and been through 35, 36 years of pain.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of my backstory.
Yeah. It's powerful, and I hear it a lot, and people struggle against it when they come in to see me to talk about nutrition, but I just keep coming back to diets don't work. This is something else. It's a symptom. The eating is a symptom. So now that you've gotten into this field and you've seen what works for you, I want to get into understanding better what it means to eat intuitively. We
are all born intuitive eaters. You see, the little kids, like even my son, I try to keep, him eating intuitively. And, you see kids, they eat this big meal, then if we'll go to eat and my son will order a dessert and he'll eat 2 bites and then he's like, I'm done. And I would be like, what are you talking about? How can you be done? How can you leave this dessert here? In days past, I would have to eat it all because I didn't know when I was going to be getting that dessert again.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, how can you do that? And also I know somebody who is in a thinner body and she has all these types of junk food in the house. And I used to think, oh my gosh, how does she keep all this junk food in the house and she's thin and she just eats 1 cookie? How does she do that?
Yeah.
That's an intuitive eater.
Yeah.
And we're all born that way, but well-meaning parents, they'll tell us, you're not leaving this table until you finish all of your dinner, because there's starving children in Africa. And so, you unlearn that inner knowing of when you've had enough of what kind of food feels good in your body. And also dieting culture, all of society, they make us not trust our body and trust that we know what our body wants. So intuitive eating is listening to our body, listening to what our body wants, and eating satisfying food and following no diet plan, no restrictions, and learning to love our body right now. And then, when we learn to love where we are right now, we want to treat our body nice. We want to, eat good food. We want to exercise more. As an intuitive eater, my weight, I've probably gone up a few pounds, but my life is completely different. I do not try to shrink my body because it just ended up in dieting and binging and gaining weight, losing weight. And so as an intuitive eater, I eat, when I wake up in the morning, I don't weigh myself hardly anymore. My life isn't dependent upon the number on the scale. And I ask myself, what do I feel like eating? What would be satisfying to me? And, thank goodness, most of the foods that I do eat, they are healthy because my body craves that. And when I do eat, like last night, I overeat on chocolate cake. And before, when I would be dieting, I would feel so bad after I've eaten that chocolate cake. I would, call myself just horrible names,
I'm going to ask you not to bang on the table just because it might get loud on the mic and I won't hear the words you say.
Thank you. So last night I overeat on chocolate cake, but guess what? It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, gain, 500 pounds from one night of eating chocolate cake. And I move on.
And it's no reflection on your character or your worth. I know.
Exactly. It's just cake.
Yeah, it's just cake. There's no judgment. It's not good. So I always say that to people. Food has no value that way. It's no moral value.
Yes.
It's not good or bad. It's,
Yes, and I've learned that through intuitive eating, all foods are equal.
Yeah.
And you eat what you want, and just because you eat chocolate cake, you're not a bad person. And, if you eat an apple, you're not like a good person,
Yeah. It's interesting because of the semantics, because you can say all foods are equal, and we know that not to be true, that an apple is not the same as a piece of steak. They're not the same thing, but that's not what you mean.
Yes.
You're talking about the moral value of the food, and that a healthy person can eat something that so-called healthy person could eat something that's so-called not healthy, that might be high in sugar.
Yep.
And that, if I'm understanding it correctly, that your body is going to help you differentiate how much, how often to have in a way that you don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
Is that true?
Yes, exactly. If you eat, Oreos all day, you're not going to feel good, and so you just listen to your body, what it wants and what it needs. Because for years I used to emotionally eat, which had a lot to do with dieting, falling off my diet. I would eat because I was mad at myself for falling off the diet. And so when I would emotionally eat, I wouldn't even taste the food. I used to eat Oreos and like Chips Ahoy, and I just wouldn't taste it. I just wanted to shove the pain down of me being such a failure. But now, all that stuff tastes just like not good because I actually taste the food. And, it tastes like cardboard. So now, when I enjoy, I sit down and enjoy food. And, come to find out, I don't eat, a lot of, quote unquote junk food or, forbidden foods. Everything is in moderation.
I love how you've kind of, you go to almost to the end of the journey, like not that there's not an end, but you're already succeeded. You start off successful in that you accepting self and accepting your body. So you're already that person who you want to be. Now, how does that person eat? What does that person want? So rather than trying to get someplace, a number in the scale, measuring by something as crazy as a number in a scale, you just go there and be that person at the start. Is that so?
Yes, it's kind of like a cycle. It's kind of like I'm eating now and treating my body as I should have before I started my first diet 35 years ago.
Yeah, that's.
And I just realized that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh,
It's like clean slate.
Exactly. And my mission is to help women stop, hating themselves, beating them up, because they're not, looking like this thin model, which, most of the times is unattainable. It's unrealistic, We all have, fat, all have curves.
We're all different.
Exactly. So my mission is to help women avoid all that pain that I went through.
I'm curious, do you use language in your technique, like helping people? Sometimes I'll focus on semantics or language. So when somebody says, I can't have that, for example, I'll say, yeah, you can. Do you choose to have it? Do you want to have it? Do you ever work is that part of the program that you've used? The way that you talk to yourself?
Oh, yes, definitely. There are 10 principles in intuitive eating. And one of them, when you eat, you want to ask yourself, first of all, what do you want? Not what should I eat? because
Yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah.
yes, because anything that tells you what you should eat is a diet.
Yeah.
The so-called
There's no shoulds.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the so-called wellness diet. There's still rules.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself what you want to eat and how is my body going to feel after this.
Okay.
Yes.
What are the? Do you know the 10 principles off the top, or most? Can you name?
Yeah, I can know most of them.
Okay.
The first one is rejecting the diet mentality.
Yeah.
Principle number 1, diets, don't work. All those rules out there don't work.
Yeah.
Deprivation doesn't work.
Yeah.
And let's see, the second one is making, honor your hunger. Because, through years and years of dieting, you are taught, not to honor your hunger. A lot of diets tell you, like a lot of people do the fasting, intermittent fasting. It's not time to eat, you can't eat. You're only allowed so many points. So you don't listen to that hunger,
Yeah.
And also feel your fullness.
Yeah.
We go through that, and making peace with food, which means that if a lot of people, they'll say, I'm addicted to sugar. I can't keep Oreos in the house. I'm totally addicted to them.
Yeah.
But it's not true. It's because you're depriving yourself of that. And when you deprive yourself of something, you want it more.
Yeah.
Like me, I used to not be able to keep sweets in the house.
Yeah.
I used to love this one chocolate pie, which is so good. And I couldn't keep it in the house. I would, eat almost the whole thing because I couldn't control myself around it because I didn't know when I was going to have it next.
Yeah.
Now, I would tell somebody, go and buy 4 or 5 packages of Oreos. Keep them in the house. Have them whenever you want. And then, eventually you don't feel the need to overeat on these because you can have them anytime. You can have them, every day for a week, So you lose when you're not depriving yourself, you don't want as much food. I can keep, all kinds of tempting foods in the house, but they're not tempting anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can have one
amazing.
cookie and, I used to be like, how do people do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. Now I do that.
Yeah.
Then also challenging the food police, which means that, when you have, 2 foods, we don't look at foods as good or bad.
Yeah.
You don't assign a moral value to foods.
Right.
And also gentle movement.
Yeah.
If you want to exercise, that's great. We go through and we figure out what kind of exercise you really want to do.
Yeah.
And you're not exercising for weight loss. Intuitive eating is not about weight loss.
Yeah.
If you want to lose weight, you put that on the back burner. But it's really about establishing a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then also the last principle is honor your health with gentle nutrition. So once we go through all the principles, we kind of educate, my clients about, what food, what you might want to add into your diet. What's the difference between white bread and wheat bread? You might want to choose the wheat because of this. But there's no rules, no deprivation, no meal plan, nothing. And then also a big one is coping with your emotions without using food. That's one principle, I think, number 7. So that is huge because so many people just emotionally eaters. They eat, their failings, which I did for years and years. And so intuitive eating has helped me with my emotional eating because now food is just food. It's not, I don't go to it to stuff my feelings down for anxiety. Food has lost the power over me.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, oh my gosh, it was terrible. I remember staring at it like a piece of chocolate cake and thinking, oh my gosh, how can this chocolate cake have power over me? It's like, it's not a breathing object, but it just had such power over me because I couldn't control myself.
Yeah.
Now, I have control over it. I eat when I'm hungry. I stop when I'm full. I don't overeat. I don't emotionally eat. Since starting intuitive eating, I exercise more regularly. Because when I was dieting, when I would fall off my diet, I wouldn't exercise. I would treat my body so terrible. And I would eat terrible until my next diet. So with intuitive eating, I'm exercising more regularly. I'm enjoying it. I'm doing more of it because the focus is not weight loss. It's to feel good. It's to move your body.
Yeah, a lot of people think exercise is for weight loss, and they swear that they don't lose weight unless they exercise. But it's really the smallest. Exercise impacts your weight the least of all the calories that we use. It's really more, your basal metabolic rate, it's really what it takes to just run your machine. I say when to turn the car on, it's what uses most of the calories. So gentle movement makes perfect sense because it's what you do all the time. It's just being more active with the other 23 hours in the day, except for the 1 hour you might be at the gym.
Exactly. And when you look at exercise other than weight loss, as not a weight loss tool, you will want to do it more often. You won't, like I used to punish myself when I used to exercise.
Right, yeah.
Because it was for weight loss. I had to, burn the fat, burn this to get thin.
And that's what they tell you when you go to the gyms because they want you to think that's going to happen, but it's a lie. It's false and it's uneducated because you're there to feel better. You're there to build community around other people at the gym, make friends, whatever brings you, or whether it's the gym or ice hockey, like I like to go coach and play hockey, and I'll go rollerblade or bike ride or work in the garden. I get some of my best steps in the garden or cleaning my house.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what intuitive eating is, in a nutshell.
Yeah. It sounds like it's really made such a big impact on your life. You talked about emotional eating, and I think that's a subject that our listeners would really like to hear more about, like how it can help. Like where do you start? I guess where would somebody start?
First, we need to start with the intuitive eating principles and just going through all the intuitive eating principles. And when you've gone through all the principles, food, it loses its excitement, its power over you. And so when you're dieting, when depriving yourself, and you eat a food that's, say, forbidden, it's kind of like, excitement. It's like kind of like being bad, and it just kind of is like excitement to you. It's like a more of a like it soothes you. It's more of a distraction. Because I used to personally overeat, when I was stressed, when I was anxious, depressed, and all that other stuff. But now, once you've gone through intuitive eating, food is you just eat to live. You don't live to eat. It's not an obsession anymore. It doesn't become as exciting anymore. It's not much of a charge anymore.
Yeah.
So, when we want to go, emotionally eat, we will, go through, certain steps to try to deal with your feelings without using food. And when food is just food, it's like, oh, it does nothing for me anymore.
So is that where the coaching must really come in to play there? So I'm imagining a person who is out there who's struggling with this, and I imagine there's a lot of shame and self-loathing, like self-negative, and just not being able to get started on just to get that first thing out. So it seems like if a person could call you, get in touch with you, email you, and just say, will you help me? Just maybe the first step is just asking somebody to help and to listen. Do you think that's a good place to start for people?
Oh, definitely. And also,
like, they don't need to know the principles. They don't need to know anything. They just need to be able to maybe share the sadness or the shame or the feelings that they have about being in this vice, cycle.
Yes. Because for me, food had control over me. It was, it occupied every, waking hour.
And here you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a registered nurse, you've accomplished in every other area of your life, and yet this chocolate cake is controlling. Yeah, I've heard that. I had one fella say that to me, where he's like, I've led men in battle, but I can't beat an M&M.
Exactly. Exactly. When we let that control of food go, when we make it all equal, make it not such a big thing, we finally can find peace with food. Have a healthy relationship with food.
Yeah. I think it's so freeing. You're such a good model, Kim, to just show people it's okay to talk about. Like a lot of people won't even begin talking about their struggle publicly, with other, or even in semi-public, like in a coaching session. So it's not, And the other thing that I love about what you do is you don't see people as broken. It's not that there's something wrong with them or that they're broken or they need therapy.
No, it's outside influences, outside. It's the diet culture telling us something is wrong with us.
Yeah.
And it's when, we go on diets, when, we try to change, then, that happens. They think they're broken. When they fail a diet, they think it's their fault. It's not their fault. It's the diet's fault. Your body is trying to take care of itself.
Yeah.
Like
that's what the neurotransmitters and the hormones and all that stuff is in there for. It knows what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, when you're depriving yourself of, when you're on a diet, the first thing your body wants is carbs. And, people will go for carbs. And why is that? It's because your body releases a certain hormone that actually, drives your need for carbs. And why carbs? Because carbs, say in a starvation mode, people years ago, when they were, like hunting and gathering, when they were hungry, they needed a quick energy source. And that's what carbs is, So, your body is in survival mode. It's going for that quick energy, something to burn off quick.
Yeah. And then you get tired. Then your basal metabolic rate falls, and then you get tired. And what do you go for? Carbs.
Exactly. So it's like a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And when you do diet, there are just so many side effects to dieting.
Yeah.
Lower, metabolic rate.
Well, why would you do it if it doesn't work, right? So.
Yes, but society, it keeps telling you, you need to lose weight, you need to buy this. It's like the diet industry is like a $60 billion industry.
Yeah.
And your doctor wouldn't shouldn't prescribe something that has 95% failure rate. But so many people think that obesity is bad, fat kills. When in actuality it's not true. There are many studies that that prove that that's not true.
Yeah.
I think there was a study, 2006 or something, and when the obesity epidemic was on the rise, and actually heart disease had dropped within that same time frame 30%. So it's when people lose weight when they go on diets, they have good health outcomes at the end. It's when they've lost weight. But is it due to the weight loss, or is it due to the healthy habits that they've established? The exercise, adding better foods into their diet.
And a lot of times people lose weight, but they don't firmly establish those habits. They go more for a technique or particular prepared food or something, and they end up just gaining it back. In my experience, in my practice over the years, I've seen that more and more.
Yes.
We're just about out of time.
Okay.
So really quick, I'll give you 1 minute to tell me, because I usually tie the name of the show in with this question. What are the top 3 things it takes for you to be totally well? In 30 seconds.
In my life?
Yeah. For you, personally.
To be totally well is to have a healthy relationship with food and a healthy relationship to my body and just, society, in general, just help people.
Yeah.
That's, what well-being, means to me.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm so glad that I've met you. You're
you.
a gift, and your clients are very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
I hope that people will reach out to you and just make that initial call to say, can you help me? I'm struggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Yep. Well, thank you, Kim. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.